But I am happy to be here with you again. This is your host, Michael Voss, the Dragon of the Southern Tier, and I am happy to be here on the Exceptional Conservative Network, TECN TV. And I'm happy to be here with you all. I hope everyone is having a great time and that we're enjoying the time with each other. I know I always appreciate and thank you all for being here with me, because you could be doing anything right now, but instead, you're here with me, and I appreciate that. I understand you don't have to be here, so I really thank you for that. Now, with that said, I do want to jump into the show because we do have a guest coming on a little bit later today, and that will be former state senator of Colorado, Ted Harvey, and we're going to be talking with him and his PAC, the Committee to Defend the President, which I think is a great organization. It's very interesting, and we're going to learn more about what they do and what they're going to be doing in 2019, 2020. And we have a few questions to talk with Mr. Harvey about him as well. So I'm looking forward to that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But before we get to that, there are a lot of issues that we want to talk about. By the way, just so you know, this is what Mr. Harvey looks like, and we're going to be talking with him very shortly. I apologize, I should have shown you that before. But I want to jump into a little bit of what we're going to be talking about today. And by the way, I am checking on Twitter, I am checking on Facebook, all the different sites to see any comments as they may be coming by. So don't worry about that. But I wanted to jump into a bit of a story here now. As you all may recall, I have my website, of course, the Voss Political Commentary, which you're all very welcome to go and check out. And we have over 2,300 different articles there, going back about 12 years. But back in October of 2018, we were talking about the Kavanaugh-Ford, the Senate hearings about getting Kavanaugh elected into the Supreme Court. And as you may recall, that was a big Me Too issue. There was allegations that were made against him by Professor Ford, and there was a big fallout throughout the nation. Now, one of the big things that came out of that is that we took the opportunity and we were looking at it from the point of view of the presidential candidates. And at that time, we had 9 candidates that we were looking at that we wanted to address and talk about. And there's a lot of links, and as always with our stories, we always like to let you know more about the information and where you can look it up so you can see how we got to the conclusions we came to. But in a nutshell, our conclusion was that of the 9 candidates we could see there was Senator Biden, Senator Cory Booker, we're looking at Governor Andrew Cuomo, Senator Chuck Schumer. I'm just off today. We were talking about Senator Bernie Sanders, Senator Kamala Harris, Senator Warren. So we were talking about all of these people and looking at, they were the front runners of the Democratic Party. And they still are the front runners for this race. And now we have Beto O'Rourke, who's jumped into the race as well. And so there's 10 main names that are involved in the 2020 presidential election. And a lot of people have different views on this. But there's actually 23 candidates, believe it or not, depending on which site and which organization you're looking at. There's potentially 23 either named or under consideration candidates for the Democratic nomination in 2020 to go up against President Trump. And it's just amazing because really the choices that are being made out there are pretty much ridiculous. I mean, I just can't understand how the Democratic Party is looking at this. And it makes you wonder what's going on in the Democratic Party, as a matter of fact. Because we have a lot of candidates there, individuals. I mean, obviously, Beto O'Rourke, he made a lot of news. He came out a little over 24 hours ago, and he raised over $6 million just to get into this election race, which is, a lot of money. Great for him. He broke some ground there and really came out strong, raising a lot of money for his election, except Beto O'Rourke, or Robert O'Rourke, who is not Hispanic, although he likes to portray himself as Hispanic. What's his claim to fame? He's a former member of Congress. He served 2 years, and he passed one bill. He named a building. That's it. And we've talked about this before in other podcasts, but that's his claim to fame. He lost by 3 points to Senator Ted Cruz in the Senate race, and he named a building. This is what Democrats will put $6 million behind. That's got to scare people. It should scare people. It scares me. That's all it takes to be a front runner, a name in the Democratic presidential race for 2020. That's all it takes, is you lost a race, a high-profile race at that, by 3 percentage points, and you named a building. And that's your entire career. That's your claim to fame, and you're able to get $6 million for that because you have a Spanish nickname. Really? I mean, I am Hispanic. I'm black and Hispanic. I'm a Republican. Does that mean I should get $12 million just because if I decided to go and put my name in for the 2020 race? Really? I mean, that's the kind of logic we're talking about. And what I wanted to go into a little bit here is to talk a little bit about what are the real chances of these Democratic candidates. I mean, Beto O'Rourke, he raised $6 million. Does he have a real chance? Well, let's look at it. One of the sources I wanted to look at was Predicted. And that allows you, they have different races and different amounts, and you can double check. And I want to bring this up to date as close to as up to date at this moment as possible, so that we're all looking at it real time. I just refreshed it so you can see this as much as I do. And what we can see is, this is for the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination, and they have a list, and the list really goes down. So this is all of the candidates for presidency. So let's start at the bottom of the list, work our way back up, and see who really has any kind of realistic halfway chance at being president, okay? And again, this is my opinion. This is just me speaking here, and I'm talking with you live. There's nothing pre-recorded about this, so my stumbles are here with you live. But I'm looking at what is it that makes these people attractive to the Democratic Party. It's a question you don't hear a whole lot of. Not a lot of people ask that, but they should. And so I'm going to ask that question because I think it's an important question. All right? And so let's start off with the really simple thing. Let's start off at the bottom of the pile is Mike Bloomberg. Really? Former mayor of New York City, Mike Bloomberg, a self-made millionaire. Does he have a chance in 2020 with the Democratic Party? Could he have a chance? Well, quite honestly, we can automatically say, no, he does not. Mike Bloomberg is an old white male. And as we know, listening to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, listening to Representative Tlaib, Representative Omar, we're listening to Ted Price, the Democratic National Committee chairman, has mentioned, Tom Perez, has mentioned that the future of the party, the Democratic Party, is democratic socialism, or in other words, socialism, which is the light form of and precursor to communism. So under that guideline, that this is where the Democratic Party is going, to the furthest of the furthest left, the answer is Mike Bloomberg, absolutely no chance whatsoever. He's out, which is why he's at 1 cent. And this is based on $1. Out of $1, what are their chances? People are willing to bid 1 cent on him having a shot at the nomination at this point. Sherrod Brown, also white male, politician, career, no chance. He's out. Oprah Winfrey, a name from the past. I mean, this is really going back in time. In 2018, January of 2018, out of the blue, because of a speech at the Oscars, suddenly there was this big interest in Oprah. Like she had some kind of political future. She's never talked about politics. She's raised money for President Obama. She's a billionaire, and she's black, and she's a woman. So identity politics, absolutely at play. She has, she has executive experience. I mean, that's how she became a billionaire. But in terms of politics, no experience whatsoever. And they were talking her up big. Except that also led to everyone figuring out that she's involved with Harvey Weinstein and the whole Me Too movement, which wound up taking her chance down, which is why she's at one penny. So she's not an option. Chris Murphy, guess what? If you don't know who he is, that's exactly how big a chance he has. Nobody knows him really, and so he's not important. He's out. Jerry Brown, the governor of California. Now you say to yourself, that guy would have a chance. He's the governor of California. He's got a name. He's been in the news before, even though he opposes legalizing pot because he thinks, the future, kids need to be able to think for the future. That was a paraphrase of his quote about legalizing marijuana. Does Jerry Brown have a chance? The quite honest answer is no, he really doesn't. Again, white male. He may be a Democrat, but he's a white male, and he's not a democratic socialist. So that puts him out of the running. He's also old. And while he may be in California, the rest of the nation isn't California. And even in California, he's not far left enough. I mean, have you listened to people up in LA? If you listen to people in Fresno, you listen to them in all the far left little enclaves there. He's just not far left enough. So he's out. So that brings us to, here's a popular thought. Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I got to be honest with you folks. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, are you serious? Where in the world did they get that one? I don't even know where that came from. I personally have not heard about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, a Hollywood actor who has no involvement in politics that I'm aware of, has really no ambition towards politics that I'm aware of. He's made a couple of comments, but really, so is everyone in Hollywood these days, so who cares? The fact that he may be potentially a candidate, I just don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I have no idea why he would even be on this list, which is also why he is rated with one penny and has no real chance. So that brings us up to Tim Kaine. Basically, he lost in 2016. He wasn't able to stand up to Hillary Clinton. He really has no chance either. Mark Zuckerberg. Come on, are you kidding me? Mark Zuckerberg, the man who is the face of Facebook, the face of censorship. Every single conservative out there, every Republican out there, libertarians out there have all suffered from the forced censorship of his organization. I cannot imagine any of them trying to even think about supporting him. There may be some very far left liberal groups that may enjoy him, but everyone else, I don't think so. So realistically, he has no chance. Plus his hiring practices, his ideas are a bit extreme. And again, he's a white male, a rich white male at that, who has never donated a single dime to the IRS. He has never paid a single penny more than he has been required to, or that his lawyers his accountants weren't able to finagle. So again, he's not a good choice there. So that brings up, Governor Andrew Cuomo, someone that we did speak about back in October. As I said, he was one of the people on our list in October, right up here. Cut off his head, but whatever. Does Governor Cuomo, the governor of New York, have a chance? No, he does not. His opposition, both for everyone who's involved with firearms whatsoever, the SAFE Act really knocked him down about that. The loss of Amazon knocked him down. The way that New York State has been going on a super progressive rant leaves a lot of people believing, including myself, that he's looking to get some kind of credibility amongst the far left to be able to run for his campaign, but I can't see it. It's just not realistic. He has no appeal, and he has been surrounded by as much corruption as pretty much anybody in politics. It's amazing he hasn't been taken down already, and that may change. That brings us to John Delaney. If you don't know the name, again, that's the reason why he's at one penny. No one has any real hope for him. White male, he's out. Hillary Clinton, 2 pennies. Are you kidding me? Old, not far left enough. She couldn't beat Trump the first time. She couldn't beat Obama. She has no hope. That brings us to Kirsten Gillibrand, who is one of my choices. And I believe that she would be actually somewhat realistic as a choice. But Kirsten Gillibrand, biggest problem she has, she's a liar. And that is not a question. That is not a supposition. That's not an opinion. That is a fact. During the 2018 campaign, when she's running for her Senate seat, she promised her constituents in New York State that she would finish her 6-year term. She then immediately, that same week, went out to New Hampshire to try and get some attention for her running for the presidency. And so she's also not come out publicly and said she's running for the 2020 race, but that's a direct lie to every single one of her constituents. So she's a known liar. No, I don't think she has a chance. But she is a woman, and she does support identity politics and gender politics, and I think that puts her up there. She's also a yes woman for the Democratic Party, which is why I will put her over Amy Klobuchar, who is not quite as extreme, and therefore you would see Gillibrand over Klobuchar. Cory Booker, forget about it. The man has already admitted that he's committed sexual assault. The Me Too movement will have a field day with him. He is out, even though he is black. We've got Pete Buttigieg. Okay, I don't even know who he is. Quite honestly, I don't know anything about him. He's out. And I think most people don't know anything about him, so that's just temporary. I don't see him moving. Elizabeth Warren, yes. Miss Pocahontas herself, yes, I do believe she's going to be one of the 3 choices. Again, in October, I said it would be either Senator Elizabeth Warren, Senator Kamala Harris, or it would be Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. 2 of those 3 will be the leaders or the president and vice president for the Democratic Party in 2020. I stand by that. I think they're going to go with an all-woman lineup to go up against President Trump, to make him, President Trump, the evil white man versus poor defenseless women and girl power and all that. That's their approach right now. I don't think it works, but that's their approach. So Elizabeth Warren, who's already been embarrassed massively, is not Native American Indian any more than I happen to be Samoan. She's out there and she's just going to lose. But I think she's going to get the nomination because she has the name recognition. She's been out. She has a record that can actually hold up with moderates, and I think that'll be a big deal. That leads us to Andrew Yang. A lot of young people like him, and he's starting to get some attention here. I don't really know much about him. He does have about $350,000 that he's raised so far, so he's of interest, and we'll talk more about him in the future, I'm sure. Kamala Harris, senator, yep, she's one of the leaders up there, and again, one of my 3 choices, even though she's admitted and proven that she slept her way to the top. Literally, that's not even a guess, that's a fact. That's her. We've got Beto O'Rourke, as we just mentioned, his only claim to fame, a loss of 3% to Senator Ted Cruz, and the fact that he's, I don't know, young. I mean, really, he's got nothing else behind him. But he got $6 million, so there you go. Joe Biden, way too old, white male. By the way, same thing with Beto. They're both white men, and Joe Biden happens to be old, and Joe Biden happens to be, well, a gaffe machine, let's call it. I mean, have you heard the things Joe Biden has said throughout his entire career? Oh my God. You think some of the things that President Trump has said are bad. Have people paid attention to what Joe Biden has said over the years? It's incredible. So let's finish this up with, of course, Senator Bernie Sanders, who is in the lead. And he also got $6 million in his first 24 hours of the race and is a front runner. And he's the reason why we have Democratic socialists talking about socialism in America. He opened up that door. He's the reason why we have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in office. And that's pretty much the reason why you're going to see a lot of conservatives, libertarians, and Republicans absolutely opposed to him. Even most moderate or mainstream Democrats don't agree with him. I don't know how, I still don't even understand how he can stay in Congress, quite honestly. But that is the lineup that the Democrats are putting out there. These are the people they want you to believe have a chance. Quite honestly, the best choice that they have out there of all of them is Elizabeth Warren in terms of experience. And she's weak. And the fact that she had the fact that her claim to fame as being a woman of color has been completely debunked, been completely debunked and completely embarrassed. That should say a lot for people, but maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But that's going to be it for right now. We're going to take a quick break. We should be coming back with our guest, the former Colorado State Senator Ted Harvey, who's involved with the Committee to Defend the President. It's a political action committee, and we're going to be talking about that and the future for 2019, 2020, and a couple of different subjects. So we look forward to it. We'll be looking forward to speaking with you very, very shortly, and I hope you enjoy, but we're just going to take a quick musical break, and then we'll be right back.
Sometimes a man is wrong. Oh, she took 5 steps. Oh, and she was stopped. Oh, it's one of those times. Oh, it's one of those times. She said, I know you ain't got a cheating heart. Oh, your love is true. You just gotta she never your fault. Oh, it's one of those times. Oh, it's one of those times.
Hello, everybody. Yes, this is Michael Voss back with you again, Dragon of the Southern Tier. And I should have on the line, can you hear us all right there, Steve? Ted? And just for everyone to know, and on screen right now, this is the former Colorado State Senator Ted Harvey that I'm speaking with, who is the chairman of the Committee to Defend the President. And I'm very happy to have you on the No Soundbites Allowed program. How are you doing today?
I am great. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's an honor for us. We always enjoy it, and I know you've been doing a lot of work. I know today is a crazy day for you, so and we don't have a lot of time, but so we'll try and get a lot of questions. We'll do a little bit of kind of lightning, a little bit of a lightning round there. But before I even start with anything else, let me ask, can you tell the folks just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I started off my political career in the Reagan White House when I was 23 years old, and then came back to Colorado and got involved in Colorado politics and served in the Colorado House for 5 years and in the state Senate for 8 years. And then when I was term limited in 2014, and that was when the presidential election was kicking up and we were looking at what was happening, and I knew that I never wanted Hillary Clinton to ever step foot in the White House again. So we started a PAC called the Stop Hillary PAC, and it became one of the largest, most influential PACs in the 2016 elections. And then when Trump won and the Democrats literally were having a mental breakdown and were manifesting all across the country, we knew that we couldn't just sit back. We changed the name of our PAC from the Stop Hillary PAC to the Committee to Defend the President. And we've now become one of the largest pro-Trump PACs in the country because there's really nobody else out there. The RNC isn't supporting the president. The members of Congress doesn't have his back. So if anybody's out there that, patriotic, God-fearing Americans that want to help support the president, we're really the only dog on the block that can help him out. So we've grown pretty substantially, and we are having huge impacts in the 2018 Senate races that we got involved in. We won every one of them, and I think we were instrumental in making sure that we picked up seats in the United States Senate. And we're beating back against the Democrats, whether it's the media or the activists or the members of Congress. We are fighting back every single day to do everything we can to defend the president.
Well, that's always important, to defend the president, to be able to stand up very strongly for him. Let me ask you, there is the Committee to Defend the President. This is a PAC that we know it raised about $9 million in the 2018 election cycle. And you had a bunch of candidates that you were working with there. And what is the goal of the Defend the President PAC? I mean, is it more about the impeachment? Is it about border walls? Is it specific towards an idea, or what's the goal?
Well, it is the conservative agenda that got the president elected. Certainly border walls. He ran against 16 very competent Republican opponents. None of them would touch immigration. None of them, would even talk about it. And Trump came in, lifted up that banner, and said he was going to champion defending our borders, defending our security, and building a wall. And the American people rallied to his cause. But the president also supported repealing Obamacare and lowering taxes and doing away with the huge bureaucratic state that has been built up in Washington, D.C., that is stifling economic development. And, the American people want government out of their way. They want to have freedom to be able to pursue their dreams and their desires, and they want government out of the way. And unfortunately, Republicans and Democrats have done nothing but expand the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. And Trump came in there and said, I'm going to pull the regulatory state out by the roots. And he has done that. And that's why our economy is exploding, because of what Trump, as the president, has done, not what Congress has done, but what the administration has done. And so we are there to fight for the president, defend the president. Certainly the the biggest scandal in the American history with regards to what was done to he and his staff during the presidential elections, when the FBI and the CIA and the NSA was working with the Clinton campaign to undermine the Trump campaign. And then when Trump won, what we're seeing come out just this last week or two is to the extent to which the Obama administration, working with the FBI and the CIA, did everything they could to undermine the presidency and the administration. I think that is the greatest scandal in American history, and hopefully more will come out where we will see people that are actually prosecuted, not just fired for what has happened. So we are out there fighting against the left on all of these issues, and certainly our goal is to move the agenda forward and to get Republicans elected that will support the president in that effort to get it through Congress and to his desk and become law. Because just because Trump has the White House and is able to influence a lot, we still haven't repealed Obamacare. We still haven't funded the wall. There's a lot of things that we need to move forward on that we need Congress's help with.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to focus, if I can, obviously one of the big things that comes to mind and one of the big issues that has been talked about is impeachment. And I'm sure you saw the recent news that came out just a couple of days ago. Everyone was talking about the fact that Nancy Pelosi has said ahead of the Mueller investigation report that she does not want to impeach President Trump, and that she thinks that is a non-starter. Now, we've seen a lot of people who've come out arguing this, Mark Thiessen amongst them, saying that it's something that she's trying to protect Democrats. We've seen a lot of other people who've come out and attacked her for this, even the far left of her party, saying that they think that this is a bad idea, that they need to impeach President Trump. How do you see that?
Well, I've always said that Nancy's never going to impeach the president. There is nothing there to impeach the president on, and it would embarrass the Democrats, and they would lose elections if they tried to move forward on impeachment. He has never colluded with the Russians. He had never obstructed justice. He has never done anything illegal. It is just simply MSN and CNN that have been running with this narrative, and with the help of Adam Schiff leaking classified information on the investigation, that has led to this hyperactive narrative that the president should be impeached. And the only reason why they're doing that is to go to their donors and raise money from their donors, small donors, and raise massive amount of money under the pretense that they are going to impeach the president, when everybody knows, including Nancy Pelosi, has always known she's never going to move forward with an impeachment. But you have a bunch of leftist radicals that got elected in this last election cycle on the Democrat side, that they promised their constituents that vote for me and I will impeach him. And so Nancy is holding on to her speakership by her fingernails, but she knows that if she moves forward with an impeachment, that she will lose her speakership, because the American people will not stand up for a duly elected president who's done nothing wrong to be put through the grinder of an impeachment. She knows fully well that it's a great fundraising narrative, but it is not reality, and she will never move forward with it.
Okay. Let me ask you this. I know that there's been a lot of things that, a lot of fronts that you've been working on with the Committee to Defend the President. And I know you had $9 million in 2018. We've already seen Beto O'Rourke. We've seen Bernie Sanders come out. They've both raised about $6 million in their first 24 hours. What do you see the funding looking like? And is it mostly corporate? Is it the small donors, mom and pops across the nation? What kind of support's out there?
For our PAC?
Yes, in 2019.
Our PAC is millions of Americans across the country that are God-fearing patriots that are contributing $40 on average to our PAC. So think about that. If we raise $9 million at $40 a person on average, that is a ton of people across this country that are passionate about making sure that Donald Trump remains president of the United States and moves forward with his agenda. We aren't getting the big, huge corporate contributions. And this election cycle will be more important than anything we saw in 2016 or 2018. And I think we will see our funding double, if not triple, at the Committee to Defend the President, because this is an election cycle where we know what is at stake. We have the most abusive scandal in American history that will be swept under the rug if we're not able to continue with this investigation with the new Attorney General, with the Inspector General. But also, you will not have a border wall that is funded. You will not have an economy that's going to continue to boom. The American people are rallying to President Trump's side. If you look at the polling numbers that came out this week, maybe just today, with regards to this amount of support that the president has among Republicans, it's over 90%. And the Republicans are rallying to the side of this president because they know that he's been unfairly and unjustly attacked by the media, by these left-wing radicals, and by the members of Congress. So I think everybody knows what is at stake, and they're going to step up to the plate and continue to help us fund this effort to defend the president.
Well, Ted, I want to ask, because I agree with you on a large extent of what you're speaking about and the kind of support we're seeing for the president throughout the nation. But I also want to address, because you recently had an article, actually it was on the 16th, 3 days ago, in the Daily Comment. And you were talking about, and just so you know, people, I'm putting up that link as we're speaking so people can see it and see what I'm referencing. In that article, you were talking about the border security, obviously a very big issue that the president is currently having a lot of issues about getting the additional funding through the emergency orders. And you were speaking about how Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the far left, and even some Republicans are now fighting against President Trump on our border and border security. Let me ask you, how important is the border to the 2019 races and also the 2020, obviously, the presidential race? And why do you think it's that important?
Well, I think it's been the number one issue for the last 10 years. Is just that both parties don't want to do anything about it. I mean, we've had Republicans in control of the White House, and we've had Democrats in control of the White House and also in Congress, and nobody has wanted to do anything with it. That's why the American people were so frustrated in the 2016 elections, and that's why Donald Trump rose up and came out of nowhere and won this election, because he was the only one willing to stand up and defend America. And I think that the United States senators that voted against the president on the national emergency declaration are going to rue the day that they did that. You know, I'm a huge fan of Rand Paul and Mike Lee and other conservatives that are in Congress. They're really the only ones that are out there defending our conservative beliefs. But on this issue, they're wrong. And if they think that going against the president on this issue is politically good for them, I think they're going to rue the day that they did that. Lamar Alexander and Murkowski and others that are more moderates, they will not win, I don't think, in the next election cycle. I think that if they run again in 2020 or 2022, Murkowski's up in 2022, I think they're going to lose the election. Or if anything, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure they lose the election, because the immigration issue is one of the most fundamental issues of our time. and they voted against what truly is a national emergency down on our southern borders, and said that the status quo is acceptable, and we're going to vote against the president and continue to support illegal immigrants invading our country, drug dealers and human smugglers invading our country, and we're not going to do anything about that. And the president has said, no, I don't care what Congress says. This is a national emergency, and I'm going to solve this problem. And that's what leadership is all about. And I think that's why he has the support of 90% of the Republicans. And I think he is positioning himself to win in a landslide in 2020.
Well, I can see that, and I, as a Republican and a conservative myself, I'm hoping you're absolutely right on that. I know we're just a little bit over here. I do want to ask one question.
Sure.
Well, I usually like to ask two questions. So, one, who do you believe? I was just before speaking to you, I was going through the 23 supposed candidates, either declared or not declared, that are looking to go into the 2020 race. I mean, it includes people like Oprah Winfrey and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, as well as Biden and a few others. But who do you think might be up there? And the other thing I would ask, and I always offer this, is there anything I have not covered that you believe is important for people to know about while we're speaking?
Well, to the first question, I think Kamala Harris is probably the most is the person that the Republican Party should be concerned about. I think that she's very articulate, she's very smart, she's very attractive, she's half African American, I believe. She is an attorney. Mm-hmm. She's female. She will get the Oprah Winfrey voters. She will get the Obama voters, and I think that she will be somebody to be reckoned with. She has positioned herself as not being a radical socialist like Bernie Sanders, and I think she's somebody to be concerned about. Though I don't think she has any chance of beating the president, but I think she will rise up in the primary. Things that I would suggest that people do is go to our Facebook page. We are very, very engaged on Facebook and Twitter. Our Facebook is Committee to Defend the President. We have over 900,000 followers there. I'm trying to get to 1 million before we're done with 2019 here. And so if your listeners could go to our Facebook page and like us and follow us there, that would be great. They can follow us on Twitter at defend_Trump. And obviously, all of these efforts are very expensive to do. So if they could go to our website at committeetodefendthepresident.com and help us there, and go to the donation page and contribute online, that would be much appreciated as well.
All right. Well, I hope they are, and I do suggest that they go and check it out and find out. And I'll also be linking when I post this on YouTube and on Facebook. I'll put in a link there so people will be able to have easy access. But I know we went over time. I thank you for the extra couple of moments there to get out those last bit of messages. I want to thank you, Ted, for being on the program. And I definitely look forward to a little, like over the summer, getting back in touch with you, see how things are going, keep people up to date with everything. Sounds good?
That would be great. I look forward to it. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. God bless.
Thank you very much. And you have a great day, Ted.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, folks. And so, again, that was Ted Harvey, the former Colorado State Senator, who is working and in charge of the chairman of the Committee to Defend the President. And I'll be including the link on that to the Facebook page, the Twitter page once we post this on YouTube and on all the social media sites, so you'll be able to check that out and see for yourself some more information about it. We've got about 5 minutes here, just spending some time with you guys. And I think it's interesting because much like I had thought, we see that Mr. Harvey has also identified one of the 3 picks that we had spoken about just before he got on. He didn't know I was going over this with you guys. But he also looked at Kamala Harris, Senator Kamala Harris, as being one of the people to keep an eye out for, someone who could be dangerous, someone who that we identified ourselves at the Voss Political Commentary back in October of 2018 as being one of the people to keep an eye on in this race. And it's kind of sad because the main reason everyone's looking at Senator Kamala Harris is the same reason why we shouldn't be, quite honestly. And that is because it's the identity, gender politics. It's the fact that she's a woman and she's a woman of color. That's her main push in the Democratic Party. That kind of scares me. And I think it should scare most Democrats. I think it should scare most people that someone is being looked at for the mere fact that they are a certain gender and they have a certain skin color. And if that's the main claim to fame, if that's the main motivating factor for people to say, well, that should be our next president, I'm terrified. I mean, when we heard people, some of the reporters yesterday were asking Beto O'Rourke, is his next vice, or if he were to get the nomination, would a vice president be a woman? Well, the question should, or the answer, I believe, should have been, it would be the most qualified person, not based on their gender or their skin color. Why is that the focus? And that's a question we should really ask. When we talk about Senator Kamala Harris, Senator Booker, we're talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, we're talking about anyone else, Representative Omar. When we're talking in politics today, almost everyone is talking in a lens or a filter that has either someone's gender or their religious identity or their skin color involved, their gender. Why? Why is that important? It shouldn't be. It shouldn't have anything to do with them, because the quality and the inherent benefit of a person is not what they're born with, but what they do. Their mind is the only inherent quality, I think, that really should matter in an election. And everything else is based on the experience and the actions. I mean, we look at President Trump. People love him, people hate him, but here's the reality of it all. He's effective. He's doing the job. For 30 years, people were asking for the corporate tax rates and the personal tax rates to be cut. We've been promised by Democrat and Republican alike that for 30 years, the taxes were going to be cut. It didn't happen until we got President Trump in. We've had, 50 years of presidents talking about trying to do something with North Korea. While that may not be in the perfect space right now, we've had more discussions and more action that has happened in North Korea under President Trump than every other president combined. We have to look at the reality. We have more jobs created under President Trump than under President Obama. We have a better economy. I mean, you don't have to think he's perfect, and no president is. But the real question should be, is he being effective? And every time that answer comes back, yes. But the counter to that is coming from the Democratic Party, and something that I suggest to my fans out there who are independent, who are conservatives, liberals or Democrats or socialists even. You have to ask yourself, why isn't it any of the candidates that I went through, all 23 of them, that even Ted Harvey was just mentioning about, why are we not talking about any of them having done anything effective? Why would we want to replace a president who is being effective with a person who has not been? I mean, like Beto O'Rourke, a man who his major accomplishment is losing a race by 3 points and naming a post office. Why? And we can talk about Bernie Sanders, someone who, as I recall, hasn't passed a bill. He's done nothing in his time in the Senate. Why are we looking at these individuals and saying, oh, well, here's the challenger? Why are they even on the card? Why are they even in the media? I'm not saying that you can't vote for them. I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't. That's your personal choice. Do whatever you want. But here's the question, and please send me the text, send me the email, send me the tweets. Please tell me, why should we consider people who are not effective versus someone who is? And if you tell me, well, you personally don't like this person or that person, I could care less. If you mention someone's skin color or their gender or how much wealth they may or may not have accumulated, who cares? Those are not qualifications. Those are descriptions. That's just the coloring of it, so to speak, the flavor of it. But that has nothing to do with what the person does. And isn't that what every election is supposed to be about? What people are doing? Seriously. Maybe I'm wrong. That's why I'm speaking with you. Let's have that discussion. The discussion needs to be had. So with that, we're about to hit our 2 o'clock mark. I do want to mention to everyone, if you have not been over at our YouTube channel, please check that out. We'll have some of the video up there. And for the YouTubers, you'll be able to see that you can see some of our other videos, which you may enjoy. You'll be able to go and see our latest video, which will be up, and that'll be this one right here. We always love the comments and likes. They're always welcome. And most importantly, please don't forget, oops, I keep doing that, to check out our subscribe, stay on top of it. We look forward to seeing you there. And everyone, be well.